If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We are back, folks. Thank you for joining. This is the More Money Show. We are live. We are in color. Appreciate so much you all listening in on a Saturday afternoon. I know some of you get it at different times over the weekend, so appreciate. We have, I think, 25 affiliates throughout the country, all the way from California down to Florida up to Maine, and so appreciate everybody tuning in. We talk about money. We talk about politics. We talk about finance. And the big case yesterday, of course, was the announcement by the Supreme Court, a 6-3 decision against Trump's tariffs. And so I thought, who knows more about this than anyone? And that would be John Yoo, who, by the way, is a friend, but he's also one of the top constitutional scholars in the country. He wears many hats. He's a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, also is affiliated with, are you at University of Texas now, John?
Yes, Steve, great to be with you. Yeah, the University of Texas at Austin's new civics school, the School of Civic Leadership.
Got it. Well, okay, so let's get right into it, John. Can you just give a brief explanation in very simple terms, because most of us are not constitutional scholars or lawyers. What did the court do yesterday, and was it the right decision?
Well, first, Steve, great to be with you. And I'm glad most of you are not lawyers or constitutional scholars.
Exactly.
You must have much more interesting and fulfilling things to do every day than we do. But here's basically what happened. And there's no disagreement among the justices on one, the Constitution gives Congress the power to set tariffs and taxes. Everyone agrees on that.
Stop.
Yes.
Stop right there. That is a critical point. And because I've been saying that over and over again, and I'm not a lawyer and I'm a constitutional scholar, but I do dabble in this. And it seems to me pretty clear, John, that, yes, within some boundaries, the Congress is responsible for raising taxes and tariffs, as we would want. If you believe in limited government, you would want that kind of check and balance. So was that what the court was saying, is you do not have the authority to do this unilaterally, Mr. President?
Yes, and nobody, neither the majority or the dissenters, they disagreed about this. This is something everyone agrees with. The Constitution says it very clearly. It says Congress shall have the power to lay duties, and it says Congress shall have the power to regulate interstate commerce. Presidents have never claimed, no president has ever claimed, they have the right to set tariffs by themselves. So that's the first principle. Second principle everyone also agreed on is, but Congress can delegate that power to the president if it wants to. Again, no one disagrees with that either, and Congresses have done that in the past. So this case was really about, put aside all the rhetoric, all the attacks from the left, for example. This case was really just about, in this special emergency law called IEPA, which was passed in the wake of Watergate, did Congress want to give the president the power to set tariffs worldwide? And the court said no. And that's...
hold on, John, let me stop you there. So why did the court, so that was a law that was passed that allowed the president to set tariffs, or how did that come about?
So the law that President Trump used here was a very unusual law. He arguably used it, and this is what the court said, he used it for a purpose that Congress didn't want. And that was, this is a law that says, in the event of a national emergency, and he uses very broad languages, it gives the president a lot of powers, including the ability to impose embargoes on other countries, the power to stop travel and traffic between our countries. But the court said the word that was missing was tariff. And so the court was saying, unless the Congress had specifically used the word tariff or tax, we're not going to read into the law that Congress gave the president that power for emergency purposes. It's a very narrow opinion, actually, and it's very sparse. It's very short, actually. And there are 6 justices, an unusual coalition of 3 conservative judges and 3 liberal judges who agreed with that proposition. And so, John,
and you agree with that decision?
I think I actually would have decided it on more, I think, broader grounds than the court did. One thing the court didn't do, which a lot of conservatives and libertarians urged it to do, was to say there's no national emergency.
Right.
Because here President Trump said the trade deficit alone was the national emergency. And so a number of people, including myself, are worried that if you allow that, then you allow President Elizabeth Warren to say climate change is an emergency, and I could take over the economy. So the court didn't.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you and I were on Fox together yesterday when this court decision came out, and we both made that point. I mean, if we get a President AOC or Elizabeth Warren, they would use that authority to say, as you said, oh, we have a climate emergency, or we have a poverty emergency. We have to raise taxes on the rich, without Congress ever voting on it. And so I agree with you, John. I'm a Trump guy. I think Trump's done amazing things for our economy. Now, I want to ask you, now that the courts have struck down some of these tariffs, Trump has, I believe today, he's done a 15% across the board tariff. It's sort of his plan B. Is that constitutional?
Yeah, so now what Trump has to do is go and use the actual trade laws, right? Not these national emergency laws, which are not suited for this, but actual trade laws that actually do say the word tariff. And they do say the president can impose tariffs.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care. Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
TaxAct's filing software and live tax experts can help small businesses easily knock out their taxes. Actually, our experts can help you find deductions and credits for any sized business. Itty-bitty businesses, medium-sized, really big, mid-sized, small businesses, companies with 0 employees, and mom-and-pop conglomerates. Yep, our tax experts can help all of them. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
But these statutes are much more narrow than this national emergency statute. So, for example, the tariffs he's raised today, those are temporary. They can only go on for 150 days. They're like a short-term surcharge, and they're not permanent. The second thing is, he said on TV, you and I discussed this on Fox yesterday with the hosts, there are other statutes. Go by these technical phrases, Section 232, Section 301. They allow you to pick out a single country and say that country's a national security threat, or that country is engaged in unfair trade practices. And you have to do it. You have to file a report and have an investigation. It takes about a year to impose those tariffs. So one thing those laws don't allow you to do is what President Trump wanted to do a year ago, which is said, I can impose tariffs on the entire world at the same rate simultaneously, immediately. Instead, he can still, for example, put high tariffs on China if he wants, but he has to explain why is China a national security threat. And the other thing it's going to make it hard to do, I think, under these existing tariff laws, it's going to be very hard to impose tariffs on countries, for example, where we have a trade surplus. It's going to be very hard to impose tariffs on allies of ours that pose no national security threat. And all of those will be reviewed in the lower courts. And that's by congressional design. So Trump. So he's
asserting some kind of national security rationale for this across the board tariff. Is that?
It's not even. It's more like I can do it as a surcharge for a temporary period because trade is fluctuating so much, and I want to settle things down. So it only lasts for 150 days. Then if he wants to make it permanent, he has to then claim national security, or he has to claim unfair trade practices.
I see.
And those are not easy standards to meet. He has to explain it, and it has to go through the courts. It's going to take a year for him to impose those other permanent tariffs.
So, John, we just have a couple minutes left. By the way, I'm talking to John Yoo, who is one of the world's experts on the Constitution, and he's one of the great legal scholars, and you see him on Fox News all the time. So, John, here's my point, and just in the last couple of minutes, I'd like your response to this. I mean, where the hell is Congress? I mean, Congress just sits on their hands, John. They don't do anything. They don't. So, the president is asserting this authority partly because Congress won't vote on anything. They don't do their job. And you and I both believe in the separation of powers and checks and balances. But I think Congress is so derelict here.
I agree with you completely, Steve. One way you could read the court's decision yesterday is exactly an agreement with you. The court is saying Congress has to pass the tariffs. We're not going to let the president try to find nooks and crannies in the law that don't exist that would allow him to set the tariffs. It's Congress's decision. The court is protecting the Congress's right to decide. And you're quite right, Steve. Congress shows no desire to pass any laws at all. They just want to wrap everything in one giant omnibus spending bill and hope the American people don't notice what's in it.
Right. I mean, it's an amazing thing that you would think normally Congress wants to, people in Washington want to hoard power. Congress is just, you use the word delegate. They just delegated all the power to the president. I don't think that's healthy either.
Yes, unfortunately, the founders didn't anticipate this. They set up the Constitution expecting the branches would fight each other all the time for power. They never thought one of the three branches would voluntarily give up and walk off the field.
Amazing. John, you are a national asset. Thanks so much for coming on. We'd love to have you again as this story unfolds. Appreciate that. That's John Yoo from American Enterprise Institute, University of Texas at Austin. We will be right back, folks. I hope you're having a great weekend. We're live and in color. We've got a great show coming up, so just keep with us. And we will be back in a few minutes.
Thanks for listening to More Money with Steve Moore. You can hear More Money with Steve Moore Saturday afternoons at 1. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.